I, CA Charmi Shah, on behalf of Professional Skill Enrichment Committee, welcome you all the participants and the dignitaries in today's webcast, Audit Your Voice and Mastering the Art of Confident Communication for CAs. Today, we are fortunate enough to have the presence of our chairman, CA Jay Chhera sir. So I request Jay Chhera sir to give his insights to our participants. Over to you, Jay sir.
Thank you very much, Charmi. A very good afternoon to all of my dear friends, all my chartered accountant friends. Friends, Professional Skills Enrichment Committee is your committee, and it is our endeavor to see to it that we help you in developing yourself in various skills. And we have taken up a number of initiatives. One of the initiative under which this particular program is happening is a series of 100 webinars focusing on 100 different skills which chartered accountants must possess. So today, one of the important skills, I think very important skill, not only for chartered accountant, for everyone, that is regarding communication. Well, we have a very fantastic speaker, CA Hardik, who will enlighten us on this particular topic. But before he takes the charge of the session, let me just very quickly touch upon this communication. Charmi, why communication is very important? Let me give a very simple example of that. When a mother says that, बच्चे सुनते नहीं हैं. My son does not listen to. और कौन सा बच्चा? A 5-year kid, right? If a mother of 30, age 30, not 30 children, of course, language problem. If a mother with age 30 says that my child of 5 years does not listen to me, how do you deal with the clients? How do you deal with the teams? If you cannot deal with your own child, so maybe you might be very intelligent. You might possess all the knowledge of the world, but if you cannot communicate in the right way to the right person, then everything is in vain. Let me put it in a different way. Friends, while I was coming today to Delhi at the head office, I started from my home in Surat. And when I was trying to cross, it was heavy rain. And because of that, one bridge was closed. Now, Hardik, just imagine all the resources are there on the one side and we are on the other side, right? There is a river and there is no bridge. How do you take the advantage of that? So, bridge is required, right? And what is that bridge? Communication. This is my mind. Something is in my mind. And there is the other person, my client, my superior, my subordinate, my colleague, maybe my friend, or why not a girlfriend, whoever, in a lighter vein, whoever. So something is in my mind, and I have to take it to the mind of that person in such a way that he understands and perceives the same way I want to, right? Same way. Then I have to develop the communication skills. Very essential skills. So mastering confident communication, that is the topic Hardik is going to cover. Well, you have to be very confident, for sure, when you communicate. But how does confidence come? The first and foremost thing is when you have the domain, when you have something to convey. If I don't know what to convey, then how I can be confident? If the captain of the ship does not know to which port he is steering, no wind is favorable to him. So first is the content itself. If I am very clear about the content, what I want to convey, then I can convey very well. Second, I can be confident if I understand my recipients, the target audience. If I understand their emotions, their way of thinking, their culture, then I can be more confident because I can communicate in the way they can understand. Because communication is not about words, it is about body, gesture, postures, but more than that, vibrations. Vibrations. Here comes the importance of empathy. Here comes the importance of understanding the other person. So you cannot be confident without that. And there comes a very important thing, clarity. Clarity of content, clarity of situation, clarity of what to communicate, clarity of to whom to communicate, and clarity as to what are their aspirations, empathizing with them. That clarity is important. Without clarity, confidence can be disaster, right? It might be you have wonderful speed but going in the wrong direction. So very crucial aspect, that we are going to cover, and that's why our topic starts with audit your voice. So just do not increase the speed, check your direction also. Are you going in the right direction? So, beautiful topic CA Hardik Shah has selected. Audit your voice. Yes, when you talk about audit your voice, so it is about contents also and about tone also, right? Your tone variation, speech variation, speed variation, all these points, para language, and as we say, they are important. How to audit yourself, you have to keep on time to time check it, because communication is not one time, it is our daily affair, right? We communicate in the morning, we communicate in the evening, we communicate in the afternoon, maybe I don't know, in sleep also, in dreams we might be communicating something to somebody. So that which is as important as breathing in, breathing out, communication, we all chartered accountant must invest. We must invest. I wish my each and every chartered accountant becomes a very confident communicator, but along with clarity, speed, along with direction. For that, time to time, we have to audit. What are you speaking? Are you speaking in the right tone? Are you speaking to the right person at the right time? Do we have the right language? All these things are very important. I am sure we have a fantastic speaker. Thank you very much, Hardik, for accepting our invitation of our Professional Skills Enrichment Committee. I'm sure all the chartered accountants who shall become part of this program, they'll be enriching themselves in terms of their communication skills. Thanks a lot to Charmi for always being available for our committee. Charmi is an important co-opted member of this committee, always willing to provide her services whenever required. Thank you very much for moderating this particular event. And a big thanks to Dr. Sambit Kumar Mishra ji, who is the backbone of this committee. We in the committee take number of decisions, conceive the idea, but it is actually Sambit ji who delivers that. And you understand there is too much a gap between conception and delivery. Delivery is actually important. Execution is very important. Thank you very much, Sambit ji, and a big thanks to all the participants. Please keep on coming to various webinars of this particular committee, and I'm sure this committee is your committee, and we'll be very happy to enrich you and see to it that you gain what you actually deserve and what is useful to you. Thank you very much once again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You are a true captain of the ship. And thank you so much for the insights. So to start our session with our resource person, CA Hardik Shah, first I would like to introduce him. He's a rank holder chartered accountant with over 14 years of experience in building and rebuilding companies. In previous professional state, he was the AVP at the Zell Education. He's currently advising several startups in their growth phase and hosts the podcast Beyond the Degree. He served Toastmaster as a district director during the program year 23-24, awarded excellence in program quality by Toastmaster International for his tenure as program quality director, is also club growth director of the second largest district in the world. He is also the district achieved the highest recognition of the Smedley Distinguished during the year when he served as district director and was one of the best performing district during the year and ranked top 5 in almost all categories. With this brief introduction, I welcome you, sir, and now floor is all open for you.
Thank you so much, CH Army, for that warm introduction. Very sweet of you. Jay sir, thank you for setting the tone for this session. I think those 10 minutes of complete bombastic opening to the session. In communication, they always say that the first few seconds are important to set the right expectations with people and leave an impact. And I think the pressure is now on me to help people to go from where most of us maybe today are to reach possibly your style and level of communication. Thank you so much, the PSAC committee, for organizing this session. Did my CA around 15 years back, and I remember I did GMCS at that point in time. I was like 15 days. What is going to make a difference to us? But those 15 days was a starting point for chartered accountants to start working on their soft skills and communication skills. And in last 15 years, I'm sure with so many sessions, events, activities, chartered accountants today are becoming more confident speakers. And they are, of course, startup founders and a lot of panelists across different functions today. So it's because of initiatives like this that we are able to share our knowledge and our learnings with them and also learn in return from all of this. So I think that energy Jaisa brings that for all of us. And thank you, ICI. Also, I think my alma mater, I'm glad I'm able to sit at my home and manage and conduct these sessions over here. I know the irony of this session is, of course, that I'm doing a public speaking session and I'll not be able to talk to all of you over here. But we will still live with it. I think that's unfortunate truth over here. But we'll still manage to keep the momentum up. While I may not be able to interact with all of you actively over here, I will still request each one of you, as and when I give you pauses, breaks, take notes down, reach out on chats, put the message down towards the end of the session. My moderator, Charmi, will get those questions back to me. So let's understand. All right. First of all, this session is not a technical session. I'm not going to teach you sections, amendments, and all of that. And you will not, while you may take notes for this, there is no standard secret sauce formula on communication. So if you're thinking that at the end of the session you become an expert speaker, we'll just break that myth in a while from now. Right? There are almost 1,000 plus people attending this webinar on a Monday afternoon. I know, fortunately, the income tax deadline for returns has been pushed from 31st July to September. So a lot of us has a little more free time at our hands. And that's the reason we are over here at this session. With 1,000 plus people, I have kept the webinar presentation very simple and extremely watered down. All right. I'm not, all of you are from different backgrounds, different levels of understanding of communication, different language barriers, different geographies, different demographics. All right. So I've watered down the entire presentation to keep it very simple. There might be some points which you may be better at what I talk about. There are some points where you may want to improve upon. So pick up what works for you from the next around 1 hour and 45 minutes, even if 15-20 minutes of the time of some session, some segment of this session becomes useful and productive to you, it means my time is worth well spent over you. Right? So my first question to all of you is, how can anyone be a public speaker by birth? Think about it. 10 seconds, take 10 seconds, think about it. Is someone a natural public speaker, or is it a skill that we can develop with practice? There are both extremes over here. Yes, some of us are naturally confident, talented speakers. We love to communicate, we love to speak. Extroverts who put them in any room and they can start speaking at the word go. And there are some people who are introverts who will think 10 times, sanitize the conversation, fine tune it, and then go and speak just for 60 seconds. Right? There are people at both ends, and both of them needs improvement. The first set needs to understand when to stop talking or when to remain relevant. The other person needs a little more confidence that yes, what you speak is relevant and it will be useful to people. All right. So we have to try and see how do we merge both these extremes together in this session. All right. So I have a small presentation which I will use for this. All right. So you'll have to bear with me while I toggle between my screens. I will have some videos and audio files to show you as well. So we'll toggle between the screens, but we'll get there in a few seconds, few minutes, right? All right, so this is the session. We're going to talk about speak with impact, audit your communication style. How do you communicate today? And what steps you can take to improve that a little. Now, remember, all of us, some of us are excited about working out, going on runs, gym. And I'm sure all of you know that you cannot get your six pack abs, the beach body within one day. All right. So this session is soft skills is similar to that. You need regular practice, regular enhancements, regular performance to be able to speak confidently in front of a larger audience. It's not a technical workshop that if I give you a technical background of sections and case laws, boom, you are ready to go and deliver the performance. No. Technical knowledge is very well documented, written A to B, and you're done. All right. Soft skills is personal. My voice, my articulation, my style is different from yours. All right. So soft skill takes time to develop. Like any sports, any activities, even you didn't become a CA overnight, right? You had your 3 years, 4 years, 5 years of articleship and exams to get where you are. Similarly, soft skills also takes a little time to get where you want to get to. So let's move on. What not to expect. Setting the expectations right is extremely important in communication. What not to expect from this session, all right? There is no secret sauce. There is no secret formula. There is no acronym to become a confident speaker. So if you're expecting in the next 2 hours, you will get some secret sauce or a secret pill, you will pop it up and whoa, boom, you'll become a great speaker tomorrow morning. It's not going to happen. At 4 o'clock, you will not be a better speaker, but you'll have enough understanding and knowledge and written examples on what can help you become better. So at 4 o'clock, remember, do not pop a pill to become a better speaker. You will get enough understanding, download of a knowledge transfer to help you get there. Vast difference. So let's set the expectation straight on day zero. All right. We'll talk about the basic nuances of communication, the content, the delivery, what to speak, how to speak, when not to speak. We'll cover these small aspects of communication in today's session. All right. Remember, it is not one size fits all. If I say you have to speak loud, it may not be relevant for everyone. It may not be relevant every time. If I say you have to use hand gestures, it doesn't mean you keep doing boom, boom, boom while you're speaking. You need to know when to clasp it, when to fist, when to not show your hand gestures. All right. Remember, one size doesn't fit all. It will not fit every speaker, every communicator. It will also not be relevant in every communication framework. There is a difference, so it's not one size fits all. Like I said, some of you may be good speakers but scared to go on stage. Some of you have great amazing technical knowledge but you're not sure how to articulate it. Some of you get fumble when you're on stage. You have a lot of ahs, so is it in your communication. We all have different situations and different problems. All right. But the question is what works for you. That's for you to figure out. All right. So, again, what not to expect? There is no secret sauce for this. All right. You will not become a perfect speaker at the end of the session. We'll go through the minor nuances of communication. It is not one size fits all. And there is nothing wrong. There is no wrong mechanism. All right. It's just that you have to get better from where you are. All right. That's the only expectation from this session, that get better from where you are. So before we move on, this is the overview, what we'll cover in today's session. Know your audience, content, delivery, what's in it for me, and communication. All right. These are the 5 broad layers in which the presentation is going to get covered up today. Before we get to the foundation, a quick question to all of you. What is communication? Think. Come on. I will have 1 second here. How about now? Okay, perfect. All right. See, technical glitches are part of communication. The question is, how do you handle technical glitches? All right. So let's move on. Question back to all of you. What is communication? You might have different ideas, different thoughts. You might say talking to 5 people, talking to one person, talking to 10 people. Communication is basically the other person understanding your thoughts. It is not just about what you speak or what you want to speak. The reality of communication is the other person understanding what you're talking about. For example, when Jessa mentioned that the mother wants her 5-year-old kid to understand what she's saying, the question is the kid understanding? If I want to take a break and I ask my mom that I want to go out, or I ask my wife that I want to go out, she needs to understand that I need to go out for a specific reason, maybe for work, maybe for hang out with my friends. All right. When you talk to your boss for a leave and they don't understand that you need a leave and why do you need a leave, that's communication. Communication is basically the other person understanding what is your thought process, what do you want. If I say ABC, you understand XYZ, that is not communication, that's breaking the communication channel. If you say ABC, the other person should understand ABC, not even CBA. So if whatever I say, whatever I speak, what I want you to understand, if you understand in the same form and shape in which I have spoken, written or verbal, that is communication, right? Communication is not a monologue. It's not me coming, giving a lecture and leaving. That is not communication. That's a monologue. Communication, when I come, I speak, you understand what I've spoken about. All right. And there's a vast difference. A lot of us believe that once I have said, I get the stage, I get the mic, I speak really well, I'm amazing, I give examples, I have case studies, I have amazing English. But the audience understood nothing. They went back lost. That is not communication. That is a monologue. It doesn't matter if it's one on one, one to few, or one to many. It doesn't matter. Communication still is only relevant when whatever is there in your mind, whatever you have spoken is understood. Emphasize on the word understood by the other person. All right. So, yeah, let's move on to the next slide. The foundations of communication, starting off, is preparation. This presentation I have prepared, I have researched, I have notes in front of me. That's my preparation. I've done this session before. That's my preparation. I practice, I go through my notes, I go through the flow of the conversation, I go through the presentation for any errors, possible mistakes. That is practicing. And then in come the presentation performance. That's largely an overlap over here. This moment right now, when I am speaking to all of you, when I'm communicating to all of you, when I'm conversing with all of you, I'm assuming I'm communicating. I'm assuming you're understanding what I'm saying. So I'm going to use the word communication over here. That's presentation, that's performance. So that's your steps in terms of how it goes. For example, when you go for a client meeting or represent in front of the income tax officer or GST officer, you prepare your notes, you practice the case laws, go through it, and when you go and speak in front of them, that's presentation, that's performance. When you have a client whom you want to pitch the new investment options or a new strategy, you prepare yourself, you do your homework, you get your case laws ready, you practice it, you rehearse it, you go through the paperwork again, there's this right sequence, and then you go and pitch it to the client. That's your presentation, that's your performance. All right, I hope I'm clear over here. All right. So some of you might think communication is about content, communication is about delivery. No, 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 no. The first and the foremost baseline of communication is knowing your audience. आप किससे बात कर रहे हो, क्या बात कर रहे हो, what are you speaking about, whom are you speaking with? That is the baseline of any communication or conversation. And the secret formula, take notes if you want to take notes over here. This is a good point to take note of, is the 5 wives and 1 husband formula. All right, don't take me wrong. Don't take me wrong. I'll get back to explaining what 5 wives mean and 1 husband means. That's basically 5 W's and 1 H. 5 wives, W, 1 H. All right. So that's the 5 wives and 1 husband, or 5 W's and 1 H formula. What are these 5 W's and 1 H? The 5 W's are who, what, when, where, why. And H is how. Let's repeat it. Let's go slower. The 5 W's are who, what, when, where, why. And 1 H is how. I'll repeat it. The 5 W's are who, what, when, where, why, and the 1 H is how. Whom are you speaking to? What are you going to speak about? When? What is the environment like when you're going to speak about? Where? Is it in a room? Is it on the elevator? Is it in the coffee section? Is it while walking down the road? Where? Why? What is the relevance of that conversation? And how are you going to speak? Is it a presentation? Is it verbal? Is it written? Remember, all these are different forms of communication. So, knowing your audience is the extreme core baseline of communication. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. You need to get this right to go ahead. All right. I'll give you one small example, right? Why is this very important? Now, 2, 3 months back, I was speaking to my mom. Now, she's retired, she's in her 60s, and she has a few savings in her bank account. So she's like, Hardik, you're a chartered accountant. Tell me, where should I invest? I said, you can invest in stock markets and mutual funds. You can invest in this 2, 3 stocks. I mentioned 2, 3 stocks to her and 2, 3 funds to her. And I assume now she knows how to go about it, because I know how to go about it. So she also knows how to go about it. Wrong. That is the biggest mistake I had made. Now, my mom has never understood stock markets, IPOs, share prices, fluctuations, BSC, NSE. She has never seen that. She doesn't know a broker. She doesn't know NSDL. She doesn't understand any of these. She's like, what is mutual funds? How do I invest in stock markets? Where do I find the Reliance stock? Uh, and why are there different exchanges for this? Why is the price changing every second? Who is buying and selling? Whom am I buying from? Whom am I selling to? Numerous questions. I said, wait. Let me get back. Do you understand? My mom and me are not at the same intellectual level when it comes to stock markets, investments, and mutual funds. She's a newbie, knows nothing about stock market. This is the first investment she's going to make, right? I, as a chartered accountant, have been investing in funds for last 10 to 15 years. So I know how to invest, how to open an account. And I assumed that she also knows how to do it. And that's where I made the first mistake. Understanding your audience is very important. If your audience is not at the same level as you need to go down to their level and speak and bring them to your level. They don't have any understanding or knowledge, so they can't come to your level. You need to bring them to your level. That's very critical in terms of communication, understanding your audience. Knowing your audience, knowing the intellectual levels is very, very important. All right. Now, why is this again important? All right. Now, a few years back when I was working with EY, so one of these days, my senior was not in office. So I was working with my manager and we had to send out an opinion that day. Now the opinion was, was there. It's been tried and tested, sent multiple times before. I just had to replicate it for my client with fine tuning some facts. So while I was studying it, I realized that there's possibly an error in this. Now, I started wondering that, okay, there's an error. Let me go and speak to my manager. Uh, the entire floor was normally scared of this manager. So what I did, I told her there's a mistake, but I couldn't explain myself to her. So then I went back to my seat. I typed it down on email and sent it to her. And I thought, and I was just when I was leaving, she called me back and said, Hardik, I agree with your email opinion. Why did you not talk about it in the morning? And that's when I realized that communication becomes very critical in such situations, and that I have to be more confident in my understanding and technical knowledge to be able to inform that to the other person. And if I can't communicate to my manager, how will I communicate to the clients or income tax officers tomorrow? Right? So knowing your audience is the base of it. Now let's look at another example. In an interview room, two situations. Situation one, you are basically giving an interview. You are being interviewed, all right? Round one, HR round. What they want to know about you is your personality, your basic soft skills, your background. They do not have a technical knowledge. If you start throwing jargons of income tax, audit, finance to them, they will not understand it. They will lose interest in you. Round two is the technical round. Here, they are testing my understanding of the subject. While my soft skills become handy, they don't want to know about my background at that point in time largely because the HR has already cleared my background over here. So, same cabin, same room, same person being interviewed, but by two different individuals with a different requirement. With HR, I have to put forward my soft skills better, my background more clearly. But with the partner, I have to give my domain understanding, my subject matter expertise better. You realize both are very, very different situations in the same room. So, knowing your audience forms the baseline of how you communicate with them. And it's not to put people down. You have to lift them to your level, all right? You have to be at the same level as them. Now let's assume on a situation where you're pitching for advisory services to a client. You walk into the room, the CEO, it's a luggage company. They want to understand how they can fund their capital better. They want to do two things. One, can you handle the client better? Can you handle the finances better? They test you from both angles. The CEO already knows their business. The board members in the cabin, they already know their business. They are checking whether you can handle the client and their funds or not. Very different situation, very different communication style. It's a group discussion, right? They are also trying to check whether you are an expert in that topic or not. That's very critical to what you do. So you know your audience has three categories, three buckets over here. One is personal interaction, that is one-on-one communication. All right. Next is group discussion, where is one to few people. And then there is public speaking, one to many. Something like what we're doing right now, when I'm one individual speaker speaking to a larger set of audience, that is one to many communication. All situations, all people will require different fine tuning and different preparation. So, do you remember the formula I gave you? 5 W's and 1 H? I'm taking that 5-second pause for you to recollect that. Who, what, when, interaction, group discussion, and public speaking. All right, different situation needs different preparation, different understanding, different presentation, also different style of communication as well. But if you do not know your audience, you will are bound to make a mistake out there. So please know whom you're speaking to, what level of understanding, domain knowledge do they have, what's their communication style. You have to adopt to their communication style in points one and two. In personal interaction and group discussion, your style should adopt to their style. In the last, where it's one to many, you have to be more neutral. Am I clear? Am I clear? Am I on the same page with all of you? I hope you're making sense of it. I'll give you 10, 30 seconds. Take notes, make your pointers down. Then we'll move to the next slide. All right, quick recap before we move to the next slide again. Know your audience is the basic foundation of communication and public speaking. All right. Know your audience. Is it one-on-one? Is it one to many? Is it one to few or one to many? Who, what, when, where, why, and how. 5 W's and 1 H, 5 wives and 1 husband. That's a quick shortcut to remember this. Next is your content. All right, crafting your message. Before we go here, let's listen to a quick audio and look at a quick video before you do this.
What? All you all think smoking kills? Let me tell you something. Do you know that the amount of people dying from diabetes are 3 times as many people dying from smoking? Yet if I pulled a Snicker bar, nobody will say anything. Do you know that the leading cause of lung cancer is not actually a cigarette? It's your DNA. You could smoke for years and nothing will ever happen to you. This whole war against smoking is just to restrict the farming of tobacco. Mr. Council Chair, fellow Toastmasters and guests, I use these arguments, even though I just made them up,
Everybody wants to build a big startup, make a lot of money, and become a unicorn. India has one.
Did you all notice the content that he used in the speech? And how did he open his communication? How did he start conversing? Words have power. All right. So crafting your message is the next step of communication in terms of how do you communicate, what you speak. The words are extremely critical to what you do. Right? What did he start with? He started with an example of smoking. And then he was eventually coming to his point. He didn't start with, oh, well, today we're going to talk about diabetes. Or today, what if today I just said, okay, let's do communication, the three C's of communication and subtle. Nope. In today's session, you saw Jay sir. He took the first 10 minutes to build the context for this and get all of you hooked and engaged. If you see in the speech right now that you saw, he gave a funny anecdote that he just made that story up, but that hooked the audience. Right? And that's important in your opening, body, and conclusion. Sorry. How you start is important. All right. And do not start with today we're going to talk about so and so. It's better to talk about something more relevant. Ask a question, give a quote, give a story. Like I also gave a story of my office. Or if you see, I gave a story of me and my mother. These stories at the initial segment hook the audience, give them relevance and context, and make it more relatable. You don't have to be artificial in the era of artificial intelligence. Be honest, be genuine, be vulnerable. It's perfectly fine when you start with that. Then the body is the meat. What you see, the presentations, the breakdowns, the detailing is the body. And the last part is the closing, the call to action. What do you want the audience to take away from this conversation? At the end of these 2 hours, what do PSEC or Hardik want all of you to learn and take back from this session? That's the closing, that's the call to action. If you see a lot of social media reels, they ask you, okay, follow for more, subscribe to our channels, or if you're going to an income tax office where they have raised the dispute against you and there's a demand, at the end, you want them to drop that demand. Or when you're pitching to an advisory services to a client, at the end, you're going to pitch to them that, okay, because we are so good at what we do, we have the experience of the last 20 years, I recommend you sign us up to provide services to you. That's the closing, that's the call to action. What do you want the people to do? Let's look at one more quick video before we move to the next section.
Speech topic is the rise of artificial intelligence. Speaker, you need to know about this. Let's say, for example, your speech topic is the rise of artificial intelligence in healthcare. Now, don't start your speech by just saying, hi everyone, the topic I'm going to be speaking about is the rise of AI in healthcare. Instead, the easiest way to capture an audience's attention is to ask them a question on something they emotionally connect with. People don't care about the rise of AI, we care about the impact that it will have on our lives. So you can start your speech like this instead. Healthcare is one of the most erratic professions out there. But what if I told you that we could halve our time spent in the hospital while more than doubling our output? Let's talk about the rise of AI in healthcare. If you start your speech like that, you'll be much more likely to engage your audience throughout the entire presentation. Try it out the next time, and if you like such community,
Did you see the two differences in terms of how he broke the topic down in terms of starting on a very generic topic over here? So when you start and do an opening, ensure that you're able to hook the audience. The first few minutes, the first few seconds are extremely critical to where you are. Once you lose the audience's interest, they get bored, they start looking at their phones, and the attention span is anyways very less these days. All right, so that's content. Let's move to the second part, that is purpose. Now, there are two purposes of any conversation. One is the generic purpose, second, the specific purpose. Generic could be to inform, to inspire, to entertain, or to persuade. I'll repeat it. The generic purpose of any conversation, any communication, any channel, any medium are just one from these four: to inform, to inspire, to entertain, or to persuade. All right. That's the generic purpose. Now let's move to the specific purpose. What is the specific purpose? Specific purpose is the action you're expecting at the end of it. If your wife says that go and switch off the gas in the kitchen, you're expected to go and switch off the gas in the kitchen. But what if there are two gas stoves that are open or switched on at that point in time? Which one do you switch off? That's communication gap. Go and switch off that first stove in the kitchen. Very simple generic examples, all right? When you are expecting the client to sign you up for services that's specific, you are persuading them. So for 15 minutes, you persuaded them that why you are the best chartered accountant in the room today. And then you're closing it by saying that this is why you should hire me. Specific purpose is important. At an interview, at the end of it, I'm trying to persuade you to hire me as your employee. And that's towards the end. I'm going to give you a closing remark that why am I the best asset for your team? All right. So these are, sorry. So these are the generic and specific purpose of communication. I'll repeat it: to inform, to inspire, to entertain, to persuade. Your opening catches attention of the audience. Your closing is the takeaway for the audience. At the end of this session, I'm looking to inspire some of you people to actively pursue soft skills communication, get better at communications, practice a little more on this. All right, is that clear? That's the purpose. So content, your opening is important, your body and your closing is a close call to action. Your purpose, generic, to inform, to inspire, to entertain, to persuade, and specific is what is that action you want the other person to take basis that communication that you just had over here. Are we clear? Are we good on the same line? All right, let's take a 10-20 second pause before we move to the last segment of this slide. That's what not to do. The last column over here you can see is do not use jargons. Remember the example of me and my mom? Invest in stock markets, mutual funds, buy this stock, buy from this exchange, buy from this broker. She has no idea. These are all jargons to her. I know we say if you cannot convince, confuse, but avoid it. Do not use long sentences. Pause, break it down for the person to understand. Remember, you want to bring them down to your level. Sorry, you want to bring them up to your level. All right. You have to go down to their level. So bridge that gap somewhere and do not ramble. All right. Do not fumble. Do not talk around three topics in one. What if I spoke about communication, tax, audit, all in one slide? You will lose interest, you'll be confused, you will be least interested, you will not want to listen to me any further. All right. And some of you may be great at communication, great at language, great with your vocabulary, but you don't have to be a Sashi Tharoor. Why? Okay, let's look at this example for that.
President and gentlemen, ladies of the House, standing here with 8 minutes in my hands and this venerable and rather magnificent institution, I was going to assure you that I belong to the Henry VIII School of Public Speaking. That, as Henry VIII said to his wives, I shall not keep you long. But now finding myself the seventh speaker out of 8 in what must already seem a rather long evening to you, I rather feel like Henry VIII's last wife. I more or less know what's expected of me, but I'm not sure how to do it any differently. Perhaps what I should do is really try and pay attention to the arguments that were advanced by the opposition today. We had, for example, Sir Richard Ottaway suggesting, challenging the very idea that it could be argued
The basic premise is you don't have to be a Sashi Tharoor, you don't have to use fancy words. Speak in a language which the other person understands. Remember, circling back to the basics of communication, when we spoke, what is communication? Communication is basically the other person understanding what I'm trying to say. All right. And that's very, very critical over here. Right. So again, your content, your opening, body, closing, your purpose, generic, to inform, to inspire, to entertain, to persuade, specific. What's the call to action? What do you want the audience to do? Do not be a Sashi Tharoor. Do not use jargon. Do not use long sentences. Do not ramble, fumble, talk about multiple things in one time, because the person will not understand. Do you see what happened there? You're losing interest. Like, why the hell is he saying that? You will not want to do that. Quick recap. Your foundations are preparation, practice, presentation, performance. Know your audience. Remember the 5 W's and 1 H. Who, what, when, where, why, how. One to one, one to few, one to many. Know your audience. Go down to their level, and bring them up to your level. Crafting your message, your opening is very critical. Keep it energetic. Use a quote, use a question, use a example, and be vulnerable. Use your body to hook them, to keep them entertained, engaged, engrossed, and a closing which ties into your specific purpose and generic purpose. Of course, what is that you want to communicate and why? To inform, to inspire, to entertain, and to persuade, and do not use jargons, lock-ins, or rambles. All right. A 30-second quick pause before we move on and start the delivery techniques. All right, moving on to the next slide is your engaging delivery techniques. All right, this could be your body language, your voice modulation, your additional tools that you use. Do you know almost 60% of communication is non-verbal? Your content, your purpose is verbal communication. But 60% of your communication is non-verbal in nature. How you speak overrides what you speak. Have you seen that situation that somebody like you are angry, you are too loud, or why are you looking down, why are you looking up, look at me in the eye? Have you had these in communications and conversations? Those are exactly your non-verbal communication skills. All right. So let's look at a quick video before we move on the details of this.
the next iPhone. I just want you to tell me how much excitement. Announcing the next iPhone. I just want you to tell me how much excitement I'm building in the way I'm presenting it, okay? Today I'm really excited to announce the brand new iPhone.
Too fast, to the point, like it didn't build up.
Yes, yes. Now be honest, for those of you who get nervous during a speech, ever sped through the entire thing and you don't even know what you said? So here, when I announced the iPhone, did I build any anticipation for the product at all? It's like I'm getting paid by the hour. Okay, guys, I gotta go back home, right? Let me try this one more time and tell me if it sounds any different, okay? Today, I'm really excited to announce the brand new iPhone. Did any of my words change there? Then what changed? Pauses. Did we notice the silence? What did that silence do? It creates what? Tension and anticipation. You want to know what's happening next. So one of the things that you can do to create an aura of confidence is be comfortable with silence. Imagine I'm Tim Cook, the next iPhone.
Did you just notice what he did there? The same conversation, the same dialogue, the same statement, but he spoke in a very, very different tonality in both the examples. All right, let's get the presentation back up while we just get that. So that is where non-verbal communication becomes very, very critical. Like I said, 50 to 60% of your communication is non-verbal. We'll break that down into body language, voice modulation, and additional aids. Body language is your eye contact. All right. So now I know on Zoom, at times it's difficult that you have to look in the camera, look at the presentation, look at the mic, look at your notes. It can get all over the place. But as much as possible, try and look in the camera. Again, not at the presentation, not your keyboard. Look at the camera. Use that as the tool to come ahead, move back. You see, I'm trying to use this one small screen frame and move around as much as I can. Hand gestures. Extremely, extremely critical and core of any kind of communication. Now, of course, on the Zoom screen, it's restricted, but putting your hands behind or in the pocket or fidgeting with this are signs of nervousness and underconfidence. Have you seen people who, when they're guilty, they look down, they're fidgeting or they put their hands down or they're in the pockets? That shows signs of guilt, signs of underconfidence. So please be very careful when you use that. And on Zoom, of course, it's this box. That's where I am limited to. If it's on stage, use the stage appropriately. I'm emphasizing on use of the word appropriately because your stage movement has to be planned. Don't pace 1, 2, 3, 4. Have you seen? It's not a tennis match where people keep walking from one end to other. No. Use your stage appropriately, by which I mean go to one segment, talk, communicate, then move to the second segment. Talk, communicate, then third segment. Talk, communicate. Do not go from 1 to 3, 1 to 3 constantly or keep going circular. Or, some people have this habit of going front and back, like they're doing a tap dance. Don't do that. Be very careful. So your body language, your eye contact, your hand gestures, your stage movement are extremely critical to your communication. Next, let's move on to voice modulation. You just saw an example of pause. And what if I suddenly raise my volume? I'm telling you, you should do this. As a matter of fact, you're wrong. Do you know, as a matter of fact, that you are wrong over here? Do you know, as a matter of fact, you're wrong? How you speak makes an impact in terms of how the other person understands it. Don't be too loud. Don't be too soft because that's power. Pace it rightly. I had this amazing ability to be able to speak at the pace of 200 words a minute. I enjoyed it. People didn't understand it. So I had to learn to tone down my pace over here. Pauses are important for people to give thought and reflection to what you just spoke about. If you realize after every segment, after every slide, I'm giving you 32 seconds to 1 minute pause to note down, reflect, realize, give yourself understanding, room for yourself to understand that better. All right. And the last segment is additional aids. That's audio, visual, PPT, and prop. You see, I'm using different videos to give you examples of different communication styles used by people. I'm using a presentation right now to go through the entire thing. What if I had just spoken for 2 hours monologue, come give you examples, you can do this, you can do that, but not being able to demonstrate it? The audio visual helps it higher retention and higher engagement, and people remember more of what they've seen and hear versus just hearing or just seeing. Prop, if it depends on what case study, if you're using income tax act as an example, depends, all right? Prop is very, very specific to what you're speaking about. So remember, 60% of communication is non-verbal in nature. Your body language, your voice modulation, your additional aids, your eye contact, your hand gesture, your stage movement, keep them planned. Voice modulations, your pause, pitch, power, and pace, the 4 Ps. Additional aids, your audio visual, your PPTs, your props. These all together help you make your non-verbal communication better. All right. Look in the eye. Like if I'm on my laptop, I want to look in the camera. Now you'll ask me, if it's one-on-one communication, it's easy to look in the eye. If it's 1 to 5, 6, you can still keep hopping at looking at each other person. But in a larger audience, how do I look at people in the eye? Will it not look creepy? So here's the solution. In a large audience, you will normally be elevated or a little far off in a stage, right? And let's say I look at one person over here, 20 people will believe I'm looking at them. That's the stage elevation. That's the advantage of a larger audience. If I'm looking straight, 10 people over there will assume I'm looking at them. And that's the advantage of eye contact in a larger audience setup. 1 to 1, look them in the eye and speak. It shows confidence, it shows aura, it shows fact that you know what you're talking about, that you're not bluffing your way through. Remember, psychology, they all look at people's hand gestures, movements, how they react to situations. Your confidence of the first steps you take inside the room, maybe a meeting room or in on the stage, is your body language. Your body language, your non-verbal communication speaks even before you start speaking. So never ever compromise on your body languages. Use your voice effectively. Know when to stop. Know when to enhance your pitch, when to become firm. Or that your pace, speak in a pace that other person understands. My close friends will understand a faster pace, but not the audience at large. Use audiovisual cues, use presentations as and when required. Right, so 60%, like I said, 60% is non-verbal communication. Let's do a quick recap. Preparation, practice, presentation, and performance. The foundation of communication is preparation, practice, presentation, and performance. Unless you are prepared, unless you are practiced, even in for CA examination, we do that. So why not by communicating? Even if it's just mentally prepare yourself before you do it. All right. So you know the notes, you have your pointers with you. That's very important in terms of preparation and foundation. Next is knowing your audience. How many of you remember? Come on, 10 seconds quickly. Remember the 5 W's and 1 H. Write it down for me. The 5 W's and 1 H are who, many. These becomes the baseline of any preparation that you're doing for communication. Never ever forget this. All right. This is the base of what you do. Knowing your audience is extremely important. Your who's, whom are you speaking to? Why are you speaking to them? What is the end purpose that you want from this communication? Jot everything down before you start having this conversation. I know we're used to the KYCs. Get your KYA right over here. Now, crafting your message, your content, your opening, your body, your conclusion. You start with an inquisitiveness, with a quote, with an antidote if you have to. Start with something random which hooks the audience. The first 30 seconds, the first 1 minute. Remember on Instagram or YouTube Shorts, the first 3 seconds is the hook. If you are not engaging, shh, you scroll to the next one. So always remember this. Your first 30 seconds, your first 1 2 minutes are important in hooking the audience members. Your closing should be tied into your specific purpose. This is the same on the same lines. Generic purpose is to inform, to inspire, to entertain, to persuade. Specific purpose is what you want the audience to do at the end of it. What's the takeaway from them? You want to subscribe, you want them to learn, you want to follow, you want to delete some additions, whatever has to be done. Remember, that is exactly what happens. Please do not try and be a Sashi Tharoor. Do not use jargons. Do not use long sentences or ramble. All right. Be focused, be to the point. Also, remember time duration. I have 2 hours. You may have 60 seconds. You may have 10 minutes. Make use of the time effectively. Do not go on and on and on like a monologue. Next slide. Sorry. Is engaging delivery techniques. Your body language. Remember, 60% of communication is non-verbal. So your body language, your eye contact, your hand gesture, stage movement, where you put your hands front, back, when, where, important. Look at the people in the eye. If it's a larger audience, keep looking around. If it's a large stage, have an planned pauses at each position. Do not make it a badminton or tennis match. Do not keep looking left and right. If I keep moving over here, you will be confused. You will lose interest. Pause, pitch, power, and pace, the 4 Ps of effective voice modulation. Audiovisual aids come to your rescue, give you a break from monotony. PPTs like this give you more content and context and keep a structure and flow to the entire communication. All right, we'll take a quick 5 minute bio break over here and we'll come back with the next segment of communication. What's in it for you and some practice tools and tips that we'll use right now over here. So quick 5 minute break. It's 3:09 on the clock. 3:15, we'll resume this session. Okay, I'm back. Manisha, I'm audible, right? Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. All right, so let's move back to the slides and so back to the basic foundations, your preparation, your practice, your presentation, and then comes the D-Day, the final performance. If you do all these steps by steps, you will nail the performance. So do not miss out on that. A lot of people overconfident just directly walk in and then some random question, they start fumbling or they miss out on some notes, whatever thing, put them sequentially, practice really well, know it to the T, and then go and kill that performance. Know your audience, your 5 W's and 1 H: who, what, when, where, why, how. And of course, know your audience is sometimes more important than knowing your customers. All right. So never ever forget that. Personal interaction, one to few, one to many. Decide whom, figure out whom you're speaking to, figure out what are the demographics, what the level of communication is, and then prepare your journey and your style around it. Crafting your message, your content is the core of what you do. Your opening, make a hook. The first 1 minute, 2 minute, ask a question, ask a quiz, throw some random information, hook the audience, and then build up the momentum. And then close with what you want them to do. That's closing is your CTA, call to action. What do you want the audience to take away at the end of it all? Purpose, generic or specific? To inform, to persuade, to inspire, to entertain. Decide your purpose of the conversation, of the communication. Specific is, remember, linked to the call to action. What is it that you want the audience to do eventually? Ensure you time it perfectly. Do not use jargons, do not use too much English words. Like if I'm a CA speaking to a CA, if I talk about Income Tax Act, talk about ATC, talk about PPF, talk about salary income, talk about exemptions, you will understand. An engineer who's earning salary may not know the section 24, section 80C, section 80D, section 80F. He will be lost. So speak to him in a language that he understands. Tell him that, okay, as per the Indian Income Tax Act, you can't claim your income, taxable income can be reduced if you make certain investments. Same information communicated differently because the audience is different. All right. That's very important in terms of communication. Engaging delivery techniques, your body language. Do not look down, look at the person in the eye and communicate. Your hand gestures, your stage movement all becomes very critical. Voice modulation has the 4 P's: your pause, your pitch, your power, your pace. Use audiovisual techniques, use a PowerPoint presentation, use your prop. You realize I'm repeating myself multiple times over so that the recall value is higher, the relatability is also higher. All right, so that is the whole connection I'm trying to draw, and that's the reason I'm repeating, giving you pauses so that you're able to connect all the dots together. Whether it's knowing your audience, remember it's all linked from knowing your audience to your content to your non-verbal communication. It's all one circle. They are not independent. Do this and don't do that. They all come together, and that's important. And that's the reason we are following a particular style and flow and structure over here. All right. So your preparation, you're knowing your audience, then comes your content, and then 60% of your conversation communication is non-verbal. Realize I'm putting emphasis, emphasizing on a few words. I'm increasing my volume. I'm pausing at different times. I'm using my hand gestures to prove that point. This is all a package deal. It's not buy one, do not get others. It's all together. All right. Now, answering the question, how do you handle questions if people come back and they have queries? First trick is be over prepared. All right. I may not be an expert at it today, but I want to be a thought leader. So I have to be prepared for it. Then active listening. Listen to the query. Do not cut the audience member short. Okay, I got your point. Okay, let's move on. Okay, here's the answer to yours. No. Patiently listen to them, understand what they are communicating, what their query is, and then figure out and articulate a response to it. And that's the last point, clear and concise response. Do not confuse. Clear and concise to the point. All right. You are not supposed to be a know it all, and that's perfectly fine. That's not the expectation. You're not a know it all. Okay. But have you done your homework? Have you done your research? Do you know enough than most people in the audience? Then you have done your job. All right. That's the reason I'm saying preparation. Remember, be prepared for handling questions. Think away from other. Listening is important. Understand the query, understand the question properly, and then you have a clear and concise response to it. All right, are we clear? Like I said, you're not a know-it-all. So do your homework and come. Understand it as much as you can. It's okay to say you're not sure and you will check and let get back. You'll check and circle back. It's okay to do that. Remember, as a speaker, never enter into an argument with someone. They may have a different perspective, they may have a different point of view. So, you, as a speaker, never, ever, ever enter into an argument with someone or debate. It is not about one-upmanship. You are the credible speaker because you have been invited. An audience member will have a different view. It's perfectly fine. They're allowed to have that. Say that, okay, maybe I didn't think out from that angle. Maybe you're right. That's an interesting observation that you make. We can have a detailed chat outside the room after this conversation over coffee. Very smartly deflect it if you believe it's going in the direction of a debate. All right. So very, very careful over here in terms of where you are. So be prepared, active listening, and clear and concise response. Now comes something very interesting. What's in it for me? Before we get there, a quick 30-second break. Recap what you just learned, what you just saw, and then we move to this. Next part is what's in it for me. As a chartered accountant, why is communication at the core and essential in terms of this? All right. And answering that question is extremely important right now. The first, interviews, and on both sides. You could be giving interviews to get employed. You could be taking interviews to hire someone. If you understand someone's communication style and technique, you'll be able to evaluate and judge them a little better. You'll be more prepared, more effortless in terms of that conversation. Second is in terms of client meetings and pitches. Like I said, remember when you had advisory client where you had to go and pitch to them, you had to demonstrate and put yourself out there that why you are the right person, the fit person for this job. All right. How to answer that question? This is where the answer for that comes from. Client meetings and pitches. Next is, let's say you have to represent the client in terms of government authorities, or if it's a merger or demerger or a lawyer, in terms of other representation that you're doing. For that, also, you need to be effective in your communication. You may be great with knowledge, amazing speaker, amazing understanding of the matter of the facts, but if you cannot articulate and communicate that, it defeats the purpose completely over you. Last is brand building, building your own brand. You are the subject matter expert for income tax. You are the subject matter expert for income tax appellate tribunal case hearings. You are the subject matter expert for assurance services, for transfer pricing. If you have to be the subject matter expert, the go-to person for a topic, your brand building will always revolve somewhere around this. And content creation, I think a lot of people today also want to put content out, emailers or communication tips out to their clients or on social media. And that's why being a confident speaker helps you navigate all of these things very nicely and effectively. Recapping, what's in it for you as a chartered accountant? Interviews, taking interviews, giving interviews, understanding, evaluating the purpose, understanding the conversation style better. All right. Then comes client meetings and pitches. You are trying to persuade a new client to onboard you. You want to pitch to them, or why are you a better person for this job? Why they should recruit your services? Why should they pay you an X amount for this? All right. Negotiations, everything comes part of communication somewhere. Then comes representation. You're a speaker, you're invited as a guest faculty, as a panelist on a particular topic. You have to go and speak on a particular topic. That becomes important. Then comes brand building and content creation. To build yourself out as an expert on a particular topic, you're putting content out on YouTube and Instagram regularly. This becomes important for you. All right. So that's what's in for me. All right. Something very interesting right now. I'm going to give you two ninja techniques of communication, especially when you're put on spot to communicate. But the basic part of it, communication, is listening, thinking, organizing, and delivering. Whew. Listening, thinking, organizing, and delivering. All right. Let's say you have rapid fire questions, you're put on a spot, you're on a question and answer round. You have to give a response, give an answer within seconds. I'll give you two ninja techniques for this right now. All right. The first one is called PREP. P-R-E-P, PREP. PREP stands for point, reason, example, and point. I'll repeat. PREP is point, reason, example, and point. Now, what does this mean? Let's talk with an example. Should someone opt for old regime or new regime? I'll repeat. Should someone opt for old regime or new regime? Now, I will say old regime, someone will say new regime, and that's it. End of conversation. No explanation, no understanding. The other person is still confused. I know you're a CA, you're an expert, but you didn't help me understand this better. So how do we break that? How do we break that PREP better? All right. How do you do your point, reason, example, point better in terms of this? All right. My suggestion is that Charmi, since your income is 12 lakhs from salary, you should opt for the new regime. Now, in the new regime, your exemption limits are, of course, up to 13 lakh rupees. You don't have to make any investments to claim the deductions or exemptions. You have to not have any supportings. So you're free to decide where and how you to invest that money, not carry documentation. All that I need at the end of the year is your salary statements and your Form 1616A to get you a zero income tax liability at the end of the year. Versus when I go to an old regime, you'll have to create documentation and audit trail and investments and keep that ready in terms of any audit queries that come tomorrow. For example, your colleague Hitesh just came to us last year, and you see his income tax is zero this year. And that's the reason I will strongly recommend that you go for the new regime of income tax. You just see what I did there. You realized I gave the point that yes, believe you should give a new regime. I gave a reasoning, an example, a reasoning for it. Then I gave an example of a colleague of ours, and then I summarized the point again. Point, reason, example, point in simple 60 seconds. That's the prep framework. Point, reason, example, point. I'll give you one more example which you need to think about. Why is GST beneficial? Is GST beneficial for business? Is GST beneficial for business? I'll give you 60 seconds to think and articulate your points on this. I will not explain it to you. It's on you. Okay, everyone. Let me give you the second framework now. Framework number 2. The first one was prep, point, reason, example, point. Now let's do PPF. Past, present, future. And now let's look at the GST example. Before 2017, every state had their own laws in terms of VAT. The service tax was different. The liabilities were different. There were different registrations, different communications to be made. And that was very confusing and taxing. Different tax rates, again, you had different forms to be submitted. So it was very confusing, taxing, and burdensome for businesses. To make it one nation, one tax, and simplify the entire processes, the government introduced GST, that's Goods and Service Tax, in 2017. Now users have to get one tax registration number. Of course, state-wise the difference, but the tax rates are similar across all states. And I can simplify the entire process of how many rates of tax are and what returns I need to file. In the future, I hope the government will also streamline just having one registration and one return to be filed across all states. And right now, there are different tax slabs, 0, 5, 9, 18, 28. Again, that gets confusing. I'm sure in the future, the government will reduce that to 1 or 2 tax rates only. And even oil, petrol will also come under GST. Whew, you see what I did there? First, the situation was multiple tax rates. Then the government reduced GST. This is how it's simplified. This is what the future of GST could look like. Past, present, future. Now, different situations, different scenarios may require you to use different prep frameworks. It could be prep, point, reason, example, point. It could be PPF, past, present, future. All right. So depending on situation, decide what is the right framework that you want to use at that point in time and use that. Clear? Simple? Okay. That's communication. What's in it for you? Interviews, client meetings, pitches, representation, conference speaker, brand building, content creation. 2 frameworks we studied, past, present, prep is point, reason, example, point. Next one is PPF, past, present, and future. Oh, I'm prepared, but I'm scared. I hate looking at the audience. I'm nervous. I'm getting butterflies, jitters. सबको होता है. We all go through that same situation. Before every presentation, I'm also confused. I'm not sure if I want to do this. How will I prepare? What will the audience be like? Don't worry. This is a normal situation. Right? I'll give you a transition of an individual uh, in 10 years. All right. It took me 10 years to be able to own the stage like I do right now. All right. So I'll give you two videos right now. Please watch them. Ignore the video quality. It's almost a 10-year-old video, but you'll get the context.
I request all of you to do one small exercise with me. Take your left hand and place your right hand on the chest. Is your heart nodding? Sorry, beating. Stop nodding, yeah. Your heart on the left side. While stepping on this podium, standing over there, my heartbeat almost stopped, only to recover the pounding heart right now. I wish I had a Fitbit to show to you all. When the last time your heart beat was faster than usual? Examinations? A dozen missed calls from your parents, your boss, your girlfriend, or when your crush walks by. But your heartbeat stops to show a straight line when the person you love and dream or spend the rest of your life with gets married to someone else. What they've chosen was your birthday. Good morning, teacher.
Did you notice the pace non-stop, looking down, constantly fidgeting, confused, mispronouncing words, forgetting lines? Very, very, very normal. It's perfectly okay to do that. That's your starting point. That's your day zero. You will get better from that. All right. And now I'll show you. Of course, you are listening to me right now, but I'll show you a larger audience when I spoke to a few of a while back.
Am I audible? Am I visible to the back end? Now, if I asked any of you to come on the stage and give a speech right now, would you be a little nervous and have butterflies? Yes, no? Anyone? I'm a little nervous right now, to be very honest, and I need a little help from all of you. Every time I forget a line or take a long pause, can you at least smile and clap for me? Thank you, Jason, for sharing that beautiful journey from being a student to a professional and how Toastmasters help you in your journey so far. Now it's time for all of us to listen to the story of one more student. The story goes back to 2012. A newly qualified chartered accountant was working with a Big Four consulting firm. Now, on this particular occasion, he had to send out a particular opinion to a client. Unfortunately, his senior was not in office that day, so he had to work with that manager who was the most dreaded on the floor. Now, with a little bit of conviction, he walked up to her and told her that the opinion we are sending out is incorrect. And he tried to explain why. For some reason, she did not get the point. And in frustration, this hero of our story said, "Ugh." And the stare that she gave him for the next 10 seconds is something he's never going to forget. The next thing he did was to run to the washroom and hide there, thinking of how to send that resignation email to the organization. Almost 30 minutes later, with a little bit of courage, he walked back to his cubicle at the other end of the office and started drafting.
not the resignation email. He started drafting the opinion and his perspective towards it. And he sent that email out to his manager. And just when he was smartly trying to sneak out of the office, the manager called him to her cabin and started smiling. He was a little confused on what happened. And she said that your point of view is correct. Why did you not explain this to me in the morning? And that's when he realized that he was smart, but that's not going to make him a partner at the organization.
Now let's dissect the speech, right? At the start of the speech, if you notice, now compared to the icebreaker you saw before, I had nuanced pauses. I broke the ice by saying that I'm nervous, but will you help me out there? All right. So I got the audience at the same level as me in terms of where I am. I started with a story about my communication. I thanked the previous speaker in the communication. I had notes in my hand and I used one hand for movements because I used a label mic. And I was, in a short span, I was pacing, but I was pausing when I was making a point out there. What we saw right now is exactly what you saw in the presentations in the last 1.5 hour. Right? And that is the basic important of communication, that with practice, you can get better. You don't have to be a born expert speaker. You can just do good naturally over a period of time. So don't worry about it. All right. Remember, there are 1,000+ people on this call right now. You all want to learn something. You all are spending 1.5 to 2 hours with me. So that's almost 1,000 people into 2 hours is 2,000 man hours are spent with Hardik Shah. And do you believe any of one in the audience wants me to fail? No. The audience is here who wants me to succeed. You all want to learn something, get better. So the audience is not there to scare you. You are scared of the audience. And there are two very different points. Second, very important point is nobody knows your content. I prepared the presentation. What if I skipped a slide? What if I skipped a video? What if I skipped an example? None of you 1,000 people will realize it because I went on. I went with the flow. I kept moving ahead. I didn't pause. I forgot. What do I do next? I didn't do any of that. All right. Nobody of you knows my content. So if I skip something, it's perfectly fine. Don't look down when you're speaking. Don't make random movements pacing around. Don't look here and there. If you remember the icebreaker speech I showed at the first video I showed of mine, I was looking down constantly. Don't do that. All right. Those are things you should not do. That is a prime example of things not to do. All right. And the second video I showed right now is the improvement and enhancement in my communication style, technique, owning the stage over a decade of practice. Now, you don't need 10 years. Of course, I got better in a year or two of practice, but you keeps minutely increasing. Like even today, there are new case laws, new learning that we have as chartered accountants. Communication is very similar. All right. Avoid the ahs and ums. Be very careful with the hand gestures. Don't use so, I know, told you so, you don't know, I think so. Avoid these kind of words and vocabulary that you're there. There are no secret techniques. It's okay to carry chits. If you saw in the video, I had the play cards with me. Honestly, matter of fact, I did not even glance at that cue cards even once in that 10-minute speech. If you notice the 2 minutes I showed you, I never once looked at the cue card. I was looking at the audience. But that gave me that jittery feeling got rid of because I had it in my hand that, okay, if something goes wrong, I had this at my hand. So it's okay to carry chits. It's okay to carry notes. You don't have to memorize. It's not a memory test. It's not a test of it's a test of your knowledge translation, transfusion, transfer, not of how much can you remember right now. Confidence is at the core of it. Fake it till you make it. All right. Even if you are nervous, scared as hell, you need that 10 seconds of ultra high confidence. Okay. Just 10 seconds of ultra high confidence. Go there and do it. You will kill it for sure. You will kill it, but you need that 10 seconds of confidence to be able to go there and do it. Now, the question is, how do you practice? All right. How do you practice? How do you get better? Of course, coming on stage speaking is well, but how do you practice for yourself? How do you build that confidence? Like, remember, if I told you over here, remember, I'm telling you over here, right? Practice on how to do this. All right, this is important. How do you do practice? I'll tell you the answer. Most people will say, do it in front of a mirror. Look at yourself and speak. Don't do that. There's an instant reaction. It's uncomfortable. It does not give you any insights. Do not do that. My hacks: speak in front of a camera. Zoom, mobile phone, whatever. Speak in front of a camera. Record yourself. Do not forget this. Record yourself. Very important. All right. Speak in front of a camera. Record yourself. Then break that down into 3 parts. Okay. The first part is very simple. Just listen to your audio. Switch the video off. Listen to audio silently. You will understand your pauses, pitches, R's, ums, where you're going wrong. Then switch your audio off, look at your video. Are there too many hand movements, too many stage movements, too many irrelevant eye contacts? Okay. Then do both audio and video together. All right. So my practice skill is no, not the mirror. Do not use the mirror by default. Camera. Record on camera. Use your audio, use your video, use your Zoom if you have to. Use these technology for yourself. All right. But the baseline for me always has been to over prepare. If it's a 2-minute presentation, prepare for 10 minutes. If it's a 2-hour presentation, prepare for 2 days. You should have enough content, enough knowledge, enough expertise, enough examples, enough case studies that you can hold the conversation, you can counter and help them and look knowledgeable also during the entire piece that you do. So over prepare, over practice 10 times, 20 times, doesn't matter how many times you do it, just do it. Keep doing it. And that will help you reduce. It will not make it zero. There is no secret sauce. Reduce your stage fright. It will reduce your lack of confidence will start getting better. You'll be able to engage with the audience better also at times when you do that. And avoid poor body language. If people are not reacting, do not keep, like I have notes, but you never realize that I'm looking at the notes regularly. Do not keep, let's go to this one. Okay, personal branding. Okay, let's talk about KYA. No, it is very disconnecting, discomforting to do that, right? So prepare, keep your notes, but use play cards, use cards, notes. Like I have prompters on my screen. Use all of that if you have to. But practice, rehearse yourself a lot and over prepare for it. Without that, it's not going to be helpful. Do not, I'm going to repeat again, do not use a mirror. Remember, the audience at the end wants to learn something. They are not spend that 10 minutes, 30 minutes to waste their time. They are rooting for your success. So don't fail yourself. Remember, nobody knows your content better than you do. Skip, forget, move on, come back to it, reiterate, recircle, whatever, do it. But you are the king of the audience. You are the queen of the audience, not someone else. So it's your day. It's your time to shine. All right. Over prepare, be confident, and you will nail it. You will simply nail it. All right. That brings me to the end of my presentation. Quick recap, of course, like what we do. Foundation, prepare, practice, presentation, performance. Know your audience, your 5 Ws and 1 H. Who, what, when, where, why, how. 1-to-1, one-to-few, one-to-many. Crafting your message, your opening, hook them at their closing is your close call to action. Is what's your purpose of speaking? To inform, to inspire, to entertain, to persuade. What's your call to action? What do you want the people to do? Do not use jargons, long sentences, and ramble. 60% is non-verbal, your body language, your voice modulation, the 4 Ps, and your audio, video, PPTs. Handling questions, be prepared. Do not argue, do not debate. You are the subject matter expert. If you do not know, it's okay to tell them, okay, I didn't think of it. I'm not sure. Let's get back. Let's circle back. Let's discuss this separately. Let's discuss this outline. That's a new development I'm not aware of. There are enough of templates for you to use for in terms of if you're not sure of the response. You're a subject matter expert, but you're not a know-it-all. Multiple use cases from interviews, client meetings, representations to brand building, communication. Point, reason, example, point, PPF, past, present, and future. The audience wants you to succeed. They don't know your content, so you be confident. Prepare, practice, prepare, practice, prepare, practice, but not in front of a mirror, in front of a camera. Record yourself, listen to yourself, audio, video together, and that's your secret. Secret to success, over prepare. All right, that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much, Professional Skill Enrichment Committee, for inviting me for this session. My contact details are mentioned over here on the screen. Connect with me on LinkedIn, on email, or phone. I'll be happy to help you wherever you want to. You have doubts, you have queries, you want to understand a little bit more, please feel free to reach out to me on any of these handles. I'll be more than happy to help you, guide you in any form. Communication and soft skills of Toastmasters of CAs comes as a byproduct of my way of wanting to give back to chartered accountants. I do not want that debate that who is better, CAs or the other professions. We are the subject matter experts. We know the subject really well. We are knowledge experts. Once we crack the code of soft skills, we will be able to kill any conversation communication. Thank you so much for inviting me, having this session, and I'm going to open the floor now for questions. Moderator Charmi, if you can help if there are questions from the audience over here.
So we have to wait for 2-3 minutes for the questions to come in.
Done. All right. Audience members, I hope you had a good session. Please put that in the chat, connect with me on LinkedIn, share your feedback, comments with me in the chat. But right now, any questions about conversations, communication, soft skills, the chat floor is now open. Please go ahead, type your questions out there. I know the irony that 2 hours of speaking, it's a monologue, but that's how we are working with this webinar. I'm sure, get better with this in the future.
Sir, if you can highlight how can we practice such skills?
Sure. So a lot of times we also are not sure where do you get content from, how do you communicate, all right? And if you want to improve your language skills also. So here's a small trick that you can use using AI tools. I will show that to you on screen as well, of what I do to improve my, let's say, my language skills. So what I've done is in ChatGPT, I put a prompt that every day help me improve my English. You can put for communication, soft skills, practicing something, your audio inputs. You can put that on ChatGPT. It will give you feedback also. So here is what it happens. Let's say I wanted to learn some different, all right, tenses. So it gives me some examples. Then it gives me quizzes. It gives me 5 questions. All right, give me multiple questions. I gave my responses over here. Then it came back and told me what was right. My answer was wrong. what's the correct explanation to it? And then it lets me review it. So please use tools like ChatGPT and all for yourself. All right. What is correct? What is wrong? It helps you prepare, and then I give my responses. So doesn't matter at what level of profession you are at, tools like these help us enhance our skills somewhere. Right. So put a prompt, like I put a prompt that every day morning at 10 a.m. I'll show you the prompt also. So see, I scored a 6 on 10, so I'm not the best, but it's letting me learn things better also. All right. So please do not forget 11 a.m. IST without reminders. Update your memory with the following tasks. From day 3, please share the following. 11 a.m. Basic nuances of grammar with examples. Start with the simplest of concepts and then add a quiz based on the grammar principles with increasing level of difficulty till I perfect the concept. Use that for communication, use that for languages, whatever. Use AI tools to enhance yourself. A lot of us believe that AI will replace us. If you use AI correctly, AI will make you better than you plus AI combined. That's a deadly combination. All right.
Correctly said, sir. So this all are the questions from the participant side. So I think you made the concept so clear that they have no questions for you.
Great. Thank you. So there are only two understanding. Either you understood everything or you understood nothing. I hope is the former. But yeah, thank you so much for having me, Charming, on this session.
It has been an honor to be a part of this wonderful webcast of Audit Your Voice, Mastering the Art of Confident Communication for Chartered Accountants, organized by the Professional Skill Enrichment Committee, ICI. So, on behalf of the Professional Skill Enrichment Committee, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our speaker, CA Hardika, for his enlightening session. A wild round of applause and thank you, organizer, the committee ICI, to our two speaker and other stakeholders made the webcast a memorable one. Finally, to thank you all present here and helping us to make this webcast a grand success. Thank you all. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your valuable
Thank you,
time.
everyone. Bye. See you.